So today I'm starting a new series where I'm going to interview Ugandan photographers, photojournalists, journalists, just to help my ladies in the Cameras for Girls program get some inspiration as to where to take their career. So today I'm proud to introduce Esther Ruth Mbabazi, who is a documentary photographer. I'm just going to read her bio. It's incredible. Um, Esther is a Ugandan-based documentary photographer, uses storytelling and photojournalism to address issues in her society in Uganda. Coming from a humble background, her work explores changing conditions on the African continent, with a focus on the social, physical, and emotional aspects of daily life. Esther is driven to bring to light issues in society that are too often overlooked. She is a National Geographic Explorer, a Magnum Foundation Photography and Social Justice Fellow, and a contributor to Everyday Africa. She is one of 6 talents for the 2020 cycle of World Press Photo 6x6 Africa. Her work has received support with grants from the Pulitzer Center, National Geographic, and the IWMF. I want to be you when I grow up, Esther. Esther's works have been published in the New York Times, Time Magazine, the Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, El Paris, and her work has been commissioned by a variety of NGOs and international organizations. Wow, that's incredible.
Thank you. That felt long.
So, other than that amazing intro, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I usually get lost at that question. I'm a very quiet person if I don't know someone well enough. And but then when I'm with people who I'm close to, they say I'm the stubbornest and loudest person they know. So I'm one of those people. But I would say I'm a reserved person, but also one who has a real genuine interest in something if I'm curious about it.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so you were born in Uganda. What part of Uganda?
I was born in Kampala. Actually, it's Wakiso district. So I was born in Kawempe.
Oh, okay.
On the outskirts of the main city.
So I don't tell you that when I introduce myself to you, my family and I originally come from Uganda. I was 3 when we left under Idi Amin. So I first came back in 2007, and I'm absolutely in love with Uganda and its people.
Yeah.
So I look forward to meeting you in person one day. And then
yeah, me too.
So how did you get started in photography? What made you choose photography as your career?
Well, initially, I think from a quite young age, I knew I wanted to do something with stories. I thought I would be a writer because I loved English as a subject in school, and I was really good at it in some ways. And so I thought I would be a journalist. And so when I graduated from high school, I went and took a journalism course. But then 1 year and a half in it, I realized it's not really what I wanted. I mean, I knew it was what I wanted, but I wasn't getting exactly what I wanted from school. So I took the short way out, and I found it was interesting because I found a photographer who was willing to teach me, free whenever he had time. And so I started learning with him. His name is Chibuka. I started learning from him, and on and off, I started practicing. Because he shoots a lot of breakdance and youth culture, I started out photographing events and breakdance events and arts festivals, and then after a while, I was still going for what I wanted, which was to tell more stories deep and meet people and engage with them. So I started volunteering for local NGOs. And then from the volunteering work, I would get something that would pay me, like really, 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 really badly, but I was getting paid. And and then through that, I would get recommendations. I would take workshops, anything that was free, I would apply and go study. And through that, I made a network of people, and those people would recommend me for things or workshops or jobs, and yeah, fast forward, here we are now.
That's amazing. That's incredible. So how many years ago would that have, like when you started working with, what was his name again?
Chibuka.
Chibuka.
Well, yeah. So I met his work before I met him in December 2012.
Oh, okay.
And so when I saw his work, I stalked him on Facebook and I wrote to him. So I met him in 2013 and started learning from him. I think 2013, but like on and off. And it took me a while, and I went full time photography in 2015.
That's pretty incredible. So that growth happened in only short 5 years.
Yeah, and it's very.
So except for the training under Chibuka, have you had any formal training, or is it just self-taught from there?
I have learned a lot from different workshops. Could be a one-day workshop, 1 week workshop. I've done fellowships that are like 6 months long. I've done, so it's mostly non-school, like going to school and studying photography, but I've basically learned the things I would learn in school through these different short workshops and training.
Sometimes it's even better because you're getting real life experience rather than having to learn just the technical and then go back out and try and get that real world experience.
Yeah, I think so. Sometimes it is. Yeah.
So that was one of my questions, that Chibuka, I guess, was your mentor in a way. Have there been other mentors who helped you to get to where you are right now?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like there's been many people who have contributed to my journey from then. Chibuka was the one who introduced me to photography and, made me believe I could do it, because he was young and he was Ugandan and he was doing it and traveling and doing all of the things I wanted to do. But then since then, I've met many people who have mentored me in photography and in life. I've met, last year, I completed a mentorship with the Seven Foundation, and I had a mentor, Nicole Sobeki. She's amazing, and that was a relationship that wasn't just, okay, I'm here to teach you what you should do in photography and the business and everything. It was more friendly, and and we remain friends now. So I've had a couple of mentorships, and some of them have really gone to become really good friendships.
How did your work with National Geographic come about?
So National Geographic has a series of grants that they give out, and I saw the link to the grant. I was like, okay, it's free to apply. Why not? Mm-hmm. I had a story I had always wanted to work on. Actually, I had already started working on it. The story, the project, This Time We're Young, and every chapter needs money to work on. So when I saw the link that they were accepting applications, I applied and I got it.
And what's the story cover?
So the story I worked on with Nat Geo, was a chapter of my ongoing project exploring the different youth dynamics on the continent. But the particular chapter that got funded was exploring the lives of young African migrants in Europe. So I came to Germany and Belgium, and I spent time photographing people who moved for different reasons at different points of their lives, and and their lives now, their identity, and
it's that ever-evolving story of people who move across continents for reasons due to war or famine or whatever it is, and they lose that sort of identity, or trying to hold on with a tether, but sometimes they have to give that in order to fit into the new society. We see that, and it's heartbreaking. We had to do that when we moved from Uganda.
And it was also important to explore this in a way that people move for very many different reasons. Some people move for love, others move for school, others just choose to move and they like that place and decide to stay. Those are all possibilities that usually get underlooked when talking about African migrants in Europe, because I also had an experience where just because I'm here and I'm Black, someone would just randomly, shout, "You refugees," and I'm like, hey, I paid my ticket here. I can go whenever I want.
Right.
So, such things. Yeah.
So you do focus some of your work on current issues happening in Uganda around politics, let's say, around what may not be, um, wanted by the regular population. That's something that's hard to live by. How do you approach such subjects without getting in trouble, let's say, or without getting targeted? And I'm asking this, safely, because recently a friend of mine who's a journalist in Uganda was arrested along with other journalists because they were covering the subject of the Murchison Falls, and
Yeah.
the government giving up part of it to build sugar plantations. So they
Yeah.
were arrested en masse for telling the truth, because this is something that they don't want to come out. So how do you approach subjects like that and remain, I guess, unfazed in one way, but guarded in the other way?
It's a very sensitive
Yeah.
topic.
And you don't have to answer if it's difficult to answer.
I would say with every story, there's always the bigger guy and there's the underdog. There's the people who are suffering or living these conditions every day. So I'm not doing anything wrong if I tell someone's story from their daily life point of view.
Mm.
And there are many issues, many social issues are political in different ways. But how do you make sure you tell the story from the person who lives it daily, who doesn't even know where, the politicians live or sit, but this is their reality every day. So I think it's very important when we're telling some stories to just maintain the part of telling it through the person who lives it and leave it at that.
Okay.
Yeah.
What drove you to tell those stories, though? Was it something that personally happened to you as a child that you saw, injustice or whatever, and that's what guided you to tell stories? Or did you grow up with somebody in your family telling you stories?
I actually don't know. I think there's this thing that is that when you go somewhere and you meet some situation or someone tells you their story and you feel like there's nothing I can do about this. This is such a terrible story, but there's nothing I can do. But then at the same time, you're like, well, if I documented this story and I shared it, I might not be in a position to make a change to their lives right now. But maybe someone somewhere will look at this image and it will, one way or another, maybe it might land on the right person who can be able to help or come up with a solution that would save lives and change, things. So for me, it's very important to be. That's why I also say if I'm curious about something or if something really gets to me, I go and tell it, because in the end, there's not much that I think I'm doing personally, but I believe that these images and these stories getting out there, they will get to someone who is in the right position to do something tangible about it.
To make change.
Yeah.
And do you think change can ever come to Uganda?
I mean, different things. Yeah. To one person, there's always change happening to one person everywhere. So I can't ever think that I can ever work on a story or think broadly about Uganda as Uganda. No, I would rather an individual, because those lives can be changed. You can do one small thing for just one person and it changes their entire lifetime. So, yeah.
And the power of the image can be incredible.
Yeah.
Are you working on anything right now? Can you tell us anything about it?
Not anything new really, but I'll be continuing working on my ongoing project about the youth. And so I'll continue working on it once travel is permitted.
maybe you can tell our story in Uganda through Cameras for Girls. So my project that I run is about teaching photography to local girls who are studying to be journalists. And so I've run two trainings already. I was supposed to do my third one in August, but COVID had different plans. So now it's online. So I've taught photography to 32 girls, and 9 now have full-time jobs. So if there was one piece of advice that you could give these girls who are, looking to impart onto the next journey of their lives, who some of them want to be photojournalists, some of them want to be journalists, some of them, after going through, journalism, mass communications degree, realized it's not for them and they want to do other things. I've got a few who also want to do weddings, portraits, work with children. What would you say to those girls as something that they could look at you and say, look at how far Esther got. How do I get there as well?
I think I would say that they should keep going, keep shooting and sharing the work, because it's very important to share the work, because if people are not seeing the work that you're doing, then it's also hard for you to, like for the recommendation and the referrals to come around. So I think to shoot what they're interested in first of all, and then just keep shooting and keep sharing. Yeah.
Well, I really want to thank you, Esther. This has been fantastic. Short, but fantastic. I look forward to meeting you when I come to Uganda. I wish you all the best. I hope, that your project can resume and that COVID will release us all soon so we can travel again.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. It's been nice talking to you.
Yeah, you as well. Have a lovely day. And we'll meet again. We'll meet one day soon.
Yeah, we will.